So, is it possible to have a US CBDC system that can be used anonymously, right? Basically to where you can use the CBDC and your identity is secure, more or less, right? To where people can't, figure out it's you, so to speak, or there's no one who knows that. And so what we're going for in this video is basically the idea of identity privacy for a CBDC system, where that your identity related information is known to nobody. So this is obviously contrasting the two previous videos I did where it was known to the central bank or to intermediaries of the system respectively, right? And so to keep that in mind, according to a recent paper published by the Office of Science and Technology of the White House, identity privacy concerns the extent to which individuals can keep various attributes related to their identity confidential from different parties. And these parties are, the central bank or intermediaries and that sort of thing, right? So what are some of the kind of pros and cons of basically your identity related information not being known to anybody, right? And so basically the CBDC would be much more cash-like, right? Specifically, or I guess especially with respect to privacy, right? Because no one knows the information. Just kind of like, if you hand someone a green dollar bill, you might know the person in front of you, your counterparty in that respect, but otherwise, like if you just got it in the envelope in the mailbox, you don't know for sure like who exactly that came from. It's just, hey, here's instant settlement, goodbye, sort of thing, for whatever case that would ever happen, I guess. But anyways, and so basically in this case, the CBDC could function with some anonymity, right? So what are some consequences of this, right? So it may not be sensible for basically this to happen at all, which is a point that the paper itself brings up, specifically, as always, for AML and CFT compliance, which is anti-money laundering and counter-financing terrorism. So they're always worried about that. It's the government. That's going to be a major selling point no matter what you're looking at for the financial system or whatever, it seems. And so basically it would also, by doing this, it would complicate the intermediaries' compliance with this in general, right? And so the AML and CFT compliance or global standards in this respect, right? It would complicate their ability to comply with what they already have to deal with, right? And so it may also not be possible legally, and this is explicitly stated in a footnote in the paper that this is outside the scope of the paper, so I'm not going to go into it really, but it may not even be possible in a legal sense to do this, but at least it's brought up, I guess, in that respect. To pull some direct quotes from the paper itself, so it says, it is probably better for privacy and civil and human rights purposes for some pieces of information to be collected by intermediaries rather than the central bank. And so they at least, if your information has to be known, at least kind of get it out of the hands of the central bank, someone who are an entity that doesn't already have to deal with this sort of thing. And I talked about this a bit in the previous video, specifically for identity privacy where it's known to the intermediaries, to where, does this really change anything with respect to how things are run in the traditional financial system? And probably not. It kind of depends on how we define identity related information to begin with. If we're not giving them any more information than they already have with whatever services that you receive from whatever intermediary in the traditional financial system itself, then it doesn't really make much of a difference in that respect. But if we're giving them different information that they wouldn't otherwise have, you have to keep that in mind. Another thing that comes in with this is zero knowledge proofs, where they may have an application here so that a CBDC could function and still provide some identity privacy. Something they talk about a little bit, not all too much in the paper itself, but at least they also talk about it, right? Which is kind of why I wanted to throw those in there kind of shorthandedly in a way. But anyways, if you kind of like these videos, or you think that I missed something, or whatever the case may be, the whole point is to provoke the discussion and kind of break it down into each individual one, give some quick pros and cons, at least that come to my mind as of right now. Obviously there'll be more videos in the future as I read more of the papers and that sort of stuff, but just kind of going through the information in general and trying to learn about it. But anyways, with that being said, I will put 2 cards on the right, probably the one where your identity related information is known to the central bank will be in the top, and the ones known to the intermediary will be in the bottom. So hope to see you guys in one of those.